Welcome to the first ever The Moto Show. I'm your host, Jim Holley. Alongside me, the beautiful redhead, Laurette Nicole. You've seen her on ESPN, the X Games, Enduro Cross. Welcome.
Thank you.
And to your right, the man from Cycle News, I like to call, longtime editor of Cycle News, Paul Carruthers. Thanks for being here.
I'm happy to be here. It's cool.
You got something new going on at Cycle News. No more print. You guys are
No,
all
we're not.
digital
We're all
now.
on the iPad and computer now, but we're still once a week, and it's eliminated our delivery problems and a big print bill, and we're back in business, and so far so good. People seem to like it.
And we're in business here at the Moto Show.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we were here probably a couple months ago looking at the set, and it just kind of had a couch and a few things, but this place is decked out. I mean, this is super nice.
Yeah, no, we're doing it right. You know, there's so many amazing things on this set. Ricky Carmichael's helmet, Valentino Rossi's helmet. I got you two next to me, and we're just doing it way different than anybody else has, and available on YouTube 24 hours a day worldwide. What else can you ask for?
Well, I'd like to take that Speedway bike for a lap or two. You think that's Greg Hancock's bike there? Is nice. Troy Lee dropped that off for us and put that in there. But we're not going to only be talking about Supercross and motocross. We're going all over the world of motorcycling.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we have off-road, we have flat track, there's just so much to talk about in the sport.
And we're just not going to be talking. We got guests.
Yeah.
A lot of guests.
Yes.
And we got intros, world debuts of the new Husky 310. I mean, it's going to be big tonight. I'm excited.
Me too.
Let's do it.
Well, we got to take care of our sponsors. We got to do that break thing. Now, make sure you don't skip forward during the commercials. I want you guys to check out all those commercials. We'll be right back.
The Moto Show with Jim Holley, brought to you by JT Racing, making history again. And Matrix Concepts, it's what the factory teams use.
Supercross National.
Welcome back to the Moto Show. Now let's go for some highlight reels from the action from last week's racing. But first, some sad news to report: the passing of Gary Nixon. Gary was a personal friend of mine and an ambassador to the sport of motorcycling, dirt track, road racing. Gary was just a great guy to have around the racetrack. Many of years he had spent after. There he is as a young Gary Nixon. And look at that two-stroke Suzuki road racer. Now on to Castle Rock, the TT up there, the National.
Castle Rock has always been a difficult place to ride, even in the early days, because it's a small circuit, and in those days there were so many local riders that it was very hard for an outsider to come in and be competitive.
One of the local riders from Washington, Sammy Helbert, he was on fire that night. He wins everything out there. A lot of fans happy to see him win it.
It felt great, just full shots all night long, and we had this thing hooked up. So just a big thanks to Woody Kyle Racing, Fredericktown Yamaha, the whole crew.
Let's move on to Poland for the Red Bull X Fighters there, and what an event that was. As you're going to see here, the tricks were just phenomenal here. The fans really enjoyed it. There's Ego Sato, the man who finished third from Japan. He put on a great show for the Polish fans. Danny Torres, he is well loved over in Europe. The Spaniard there, right there, giving his fist pumps. This guy's phenomenal on his backflips. I mean, just every kind of version imaginable. Danny Torres is the man, but he finished up second, unfortunately, to the American, Nate Adams there, fresh off of his gold medal in the X Games last weekend, but Nate Adams put it to him.
I'm really happy with my run and with my second play.
I'm just going to keep doing my thing, riding my best, and putting minimal expectations on myself, only just to ride my best, and I'll go to Sydney and put it down again and try to win.
Looks like the guys had a lot of fun over there in Poland. Let's transition over to Finland here. The ISDE championships over there. A lot of the guys look like they're having to deal. Some of the riders coming through the checkpoints right now and looked a little bit treacherous out there. There's Eero Reams, the Finnish. He's leading the Finnish charge after 2 days of racing there, and it's definitely muddy out there as Eero goes through the woods. The guys are running in second are the Spaniards. There goes one of the Spaniards right there. He's negotiating through this section. The Americans are currently in third place right now with one of the Americans right there going through, but the man who's leading the charge, Kurt Caselli here in that red jacket there, a little bit cold out there it looks like. I don't know if I could be riding with that jacket. The Americans are holding their own after 2 days. Let's move on to the Czech Republic where the MX-1 was over there competing, and Suzuki's own Clement Sal proved that he wanted this one. Aggressive riding right there, goes underneath one of the riders, bumps him out of the way. There's another one he's passing. He's coming through the pack though, but Clement Sal had his fight on his hands because the first moto went to Crowley, but the overall went to Clement Sal. Let's move on to the MX-2. Ken Roczen on that KTM gets that whole shot there, and that's his teammate there. Jeffrey Hurling's almost losing it. I don't know how Hurling's hung on to it. Roczen giving his teammate a high five, but more of the same. Ken Roczen in that Moto 2 went 1-1. His teammate Jeffrey Hurling's a 2-2. Good day for KTM. Well, let's move over to the U.S. soil, Tennessee, the Laurette Amateur Nationals.
Last trip to the ranch, kind of sad. Been coming here since 2000.
What a great win for this up-and-coming amateur. He's going to make his professional debut in 2012, Justin Vogel. But he had a fight on his hands in some of the races with Kyle Peters. Kyle Peters came away with one of those championships. Well, on to the Outdoor Nationals. These guys, a well-deserved 2-week break after Washougal there. They're going to pick it back up in Unadilla. But one guy that probably did not want this thing to stop, he's got 2 in a row. That's the man who sits second in the points, Ryan Dungey. He probably wishes they still continued. But one guy definitely deserving of a break, Chad Reed, as you see here in Millville, Minnesota. Didn't rebound so fast, but hopefully he'll be okay. Unfortunate for Trey Kennard, he's not going to be with us in Unadilla. But one of the guys that needed that break, and he definitely deserved it, was Team Suzuki's Mike Webb, and he's a guest on our show tonight. Mike, my old buddy, man, nice to have you on the Moto Show, buddy. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for coming by. Paul, Laurette, I got to tell you a quick story. I've known Mike such a long time. You guys have probably been in this position. I had a girlfriend at the time. She had a cousin or something. I go, Mike, you got to come on this date with me. He's going, oh, I don't know, man. She might be ugly or something. They're coming up to the house. Look at Mike, he's getting on. We're like kids in a window looking through the blinds. And I look, and Mike looks over at me. He goes, which one's mine? I go, the hottest one. The hottest one. He owes me. Thanks for coming on the show, buddy. I appreciate it.
Pleasure being here. Thanks for having me.
I know you were testing today.
We're out testing today.
You said Medcap, but you got a little secret.
Yeah, actually, we're going to have Josh Strang come in and do Unadilla. So the deal was if he got his points lead in the GNCC, I'd let him do outdoor. So New York worked in the schedule, and we're going to give it a go.
What do you think, Laurette?
Wow.
Off-road
well,
guy.
yeah,
Another
we have
one.
a GNCC points leader who's going over to Moto. Now, is that your plan B in case Ryan Dungey leaves for next year?
No,
Ooh,
it's
nice.
right to the point. No, nothing to do with that. It just it's kind of a perk for Josh. He's a great kid, and he's a heck of a motocrosser. I think if he gets a start and kind of keeps his head, he's going to do pretty good. So.
Oh, okay.
You know, Mike, you had to come into Suzuki and fill some pretty big shoes. Roger DeCoster leaves and goes to KTM, but I think you've done a fabulous job up to this point. I mean, you guys have won Toronto. I know that was a big win for you guys. You only finished 10 points out of that championship, and I got to go back to Anaheim. The last time we were at Anaheim, that DNF with that chain derailment. You know, if Dungey gets 4th that night, that's 18 points. If he gets 5th, that's 16 points. He would have went back to back. I mean, I know with your off-road experience, I kind of looked in Paul the next week and saw what kind of chain guide, but you know, you brought a lot to the supercross and motocross side of it from off-road racing. I mean, that chain guide was phenomenal. Well,
yeah, off-road you're looking at reliability. You got to finish. Supercross you're looking at minimum, you know, just enough to get through. And unfortunately, Ryan cut down in a turn, and Kennard had nowhere to go and drilled him, and that's what caused the derailment. But you know, that makes you look at an issue and rethink the whole thing. And I guarantee that chain will never come off again. So,
you got Unadilla coming up. You've had a little bit of a break. All the guys, you know, well-deserved break.
Right.
But going into that, you're only 1 point down from Villapoto. You know, I would have thought, you know, a betting man would have said that Villapoto was going to run Washougal a couple weeks ago, but Dungey goes back to back and sitting 1 point out. You're looking good right now.
Yeah, Ryan. Colorado, he won Colorado, and right there we thought that was maybe the turning point, because obviously in Texas we had that one, and we had the fuel issue in Texas. Again, looked at everything, increased the size of the fuel tank, our cooling system prior to that, and again, we're not going to have a fuel issue. But that said, we had a lot of points to make up. At Colorado, I said, you know what, we got a shot at this, you know, because that second moto was unreal. Then we go to Millville, and I think when he caught Ryan at Millville, the team and I, we knew we were back in this. Ryan knew. And at Washougal, I told Ryan in the first moto when he caught RV, I said, you got him, his head's on a swivel, wondering where you're coming from. I go, you got him now, you know, and you could see Dunge get the confidence, you know. He's like,
see the fire in his eyes.
You can see it, yeah. And you know, as a racer, that's half the battle, that confidence, and,
right.
and he's got it, you know.
The motivation.
Exactly.
You know, you're a good motivator. I mean,
well, whatever.
I remember one time in Calgary, Canada, his brother Tom Webb, editor of Dirt Bike, I got him up there to do the story, and he says, "You can do that triple jump, Jim." I go, "I don't know, Mike. I should probably just do double single." He goes, Tom. Anyhow, I did it. I hurt my foot. I ended up getting third. This is the history that I know with the Webb brothers. You know, great people. But
Paul, I've got to ask. I mean, obviously the big rumors, and Ryan Dungey's the big piece of this motocross puzzle. It's like where he goes, then all the other pieces fall into place. How important is it for you to keep him?
Well, obviously you want to keep an icon player. You know, there's maybe 4 of them out there, and you definitely want one. Ryan and I have a deal. We're committed to each other 100%. We're going to go out and win this championship. Whatever happens after that happens, you know. But our commitment is through Paula. We're going to go kill this thing.
And if you don't have one of those 4, it's like you might as well get Holley in it.
Well, I mean,
yeah, I've lost a little bit of weight. I'm looking good.
Hey, Jimmy can still haul.
But I mean, isn't that a difficult thing with that? I mean,
yeah.
if you don't have one of those guys,
you got to look at it a lot of different ways. Do you go with youth and bring a guy up? And
Dean Wilson.
Dino, yeah. But
nice hint there, Jim.
We're looking at everything. We're looking at a million different options, you know. It takes a lot to get a program to the level that ours is at, and you want to keep it there. So we're going to do whatever it takes to keep it.
Now, how do you guarantee a championship when there's so many things that can go wrong out there on the track?
You can't. You work your butt off, and you just overanalyze, and you hope the rider gets the confidence, and you can see your bike get better. You know, that's another thing. Our bike, as the summer went on, got better and better, and then you kind of see that magic point where the bike can do whatever the guy wants it to do, and we're there now. So Ryan's, you know, he is a champion. He won it last year. He knows what it takes. He's going into the end of the summer. I think he's got the ball rolling, and we're going to be okay.
I know we got to go to, speaking about rolling the ball, we got to go to a commercial break. We got to pay some bills.
Understand.
But when we come back, Josh Hayes and Travis Pastrana.
For 40 years, we've always had that responsibility of covering everything.
Supercross, motocross, off-road.
Huge fan of MotoGP.
You find your name in the back and you say, hey, I'm in Cycle News.
I mean, when you see it in the format that it's in now, you're just like, wow.
The photography is exceptional.
It also allows us the use of video.
I've got it on my phone, my iPad, my computer.
When you're finished reading Cycle News, you really know what happened.
Welcome back to the Moto Show. Our next guest, I mean, what can I say about this guy? He is the 2010 AMA Superbike Champion, rides for the factory Yamaha, the Graves factory Yamaha, that is, Josh Hayes.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for coming on, man. Good to see you.
How are you?
Now, that was a big clap. My mic guy's going to be upset.
Hi.
How are you, lady?
Thanks so much for coming
No
on.
hugs, no hugs, no hugs.
Boys don't hug.
How are you guys?
Great. Welcome to our show.
First show. Any jitters?
Oh man, I'm a lot more comfortable with that than I am with this or that.
I'll bet. I'll bet.
No more jitters than when you go into that final round and you're sitting 5 points behind an arch rival of yours. You're going to have some jitters.
I don't know. I think that he should probably have the jitters. You know,
Ooh, I like it.
This is a position I've been in before. This is, I think, Blake's first shot at a national championship like this. I've come down to the last race with this a couple of times, and I'm only 5 points out, so it's pretty close. A lot can happen, you know what I mean? I've gotten a lot of bonus points this year. New Jersey Motorsports Park, been a good track for me. I've won all 4 races we've ever run there, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready to fight.
And that's going to be your last round. You have one round with 2 races, each on different days, and you like New Jersey a lot.
Yeah, and it's pretty straightforward for me. I don't have to think about it too much. I don't have to weigh out the points, this and that. Just go there and do my job, and you know, hopefully if I do it well, I'll be able to get a magazine cover, buddy.
We'll work on that. So it is easier going in there, just going to win instead of like, oh, I can get 7th or better or 9th and better. Kind of like last year, that was a situation where.
Last year was a nightmare for me, showing up with a little bit of a lead. I think I had a 16, 18-point lead when I showed up to race Tommy. You know, I wanted to win the races, but it's hard to take the risk to put yourself up front knowing that a mistake can ruin it. You know?
Right, and then you got to go see Keith McCarty.
Yeah, I got to answer to the boss. So this makes it kind of simple. I get to go there and just kind of focus on, hey, man, go ride your butt off, ride hard, put the R1 up front, and you know, do a good job for Yamaha, do a good job for my wife, make her proud of me and my parents and all that stuff. That's simple. I like that.
Let me ask you this: what's your mindset going into that last round? I know you talked about those extra points for pole, leading the most laps. Is that something you're focused in on, or more about just winning the race, or do you need those points?
My game plan doesn't change. It's the same every weekend. If it worked to keep me in this position, it'll work for the end of the season too. I'm going to try to get the pole point. I'm going to try to lead the most laps. I'm going to try to win the races. And if I do, then they can't say too much about much of anything. You know, if I do my job well, I'm going to bring home the championship. But you know, there's more than one guy going around that racetrack out there, and there's a lot of guys that can go pretty good. And you know, I still, there's a whole swarm of that other kind of bike out there, but I still think my Yamaha's the bike to beat. So
do those guys? I mean, can they gang up on you? It's not really. I mean.
You know, it's funny. I don't feel like one time I felt like I was ganged up on. For the most part, no. There's not too much of a working together. This isn't like cycling where guys can work together in a group to run somebody down. This sport's too cutthroat. We're trying to go after, you know, we're all greedy. We all want to win, and we all want the glory. We're all kind of glory hounds. So for the most part, no, I don't feel that that's the case. It's just that so far this year, you know, I've kind of been the lone Yamaha up there. Chris Clark's been doing not too bad on his YES Yamaha too. He's been getting up in there and mixing it up with some of those boys. I got to get him going a little bit better so I can get him to knock some of those guys off the podium for me, though.
Do you think if that situation ever came up for you, would you ever go to battle for a teammate, or is it
man, that's
every
a
man
toughie.
for themselves?
That's a toughie. It's typically most of the time. All right, more than most of the time. This is every man for themselves. You know, this is a really greedy sport. We're not just competing for race wins. We're competing for jobs in the future, you know. And since I've gotten into motorcycle racing, I can tell you that your enemy number one is your teammate at all times. You want to be the top dog within your team. And
does that mean you get special parts?
Well,
if you're the top dog?
There was a time when that might have been the case. At Yamaha, that hasn't been the case. But I can tell you that, you know, everybody wants to be the judge of that motorcycle, you know. I want to be what the Yamaha is judged off of, is my performance, not someone else's. And so I want to make sure it's at the front at all times and showing that it's the best bike on the racetrack without question. And I don't want, you know, a teammate of mine to be the guy that people are looking to see how good the bike is. So that goes within the manufacturer and your boss also. Right. So I'm always fighting my teammate first, as funny as it sounds, because a lot of people don't understand that aspect of our job, but it's real.
Well, you know what's really cool about you, in my opinion, is that a lot of interviews that I've read, you always take responsibility for the bike, where a lot of riders in a lot of different industries will blame the bike, blame the setup, blame the mechanic, blame a rock in the trail. How did you develop that?
I don't know. You know,
he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he left his wife at a shooting range to drive up here.
I almost missed
That's
that.
a brave guy.
I almost missed this. I almost missed show number 1. Sorry, guys. Hence me not wearing any Yamaha gear, which means gratuitous amounts of Yamaha
fines,
motorcycle talking. I'm going to talk about Yamaha motorcycles, Yamaha quads, Yamaha the watercraft. Anything I can. I'm going to mention Yamaha as many times as I can here. I almost botched this one pretty bad. So
I don't want her mad at me. I'm going to let you go.
I think we're all
know.
good.
I don't want to get in trouble. She's got a gun down there. You got to get out of here and go pick up the wife and kids.
But I want to answer your question too, because you had asked me a good question. And you know, I think that probably my father has a lot to do with it. I have a problem with honesty, I think, almost. You know, I'm almost too honest. If you ask me a question, I feel an obligation to give you an honest answer. And
what do you think of Blake Young? Oh,
yeah. Nice.
That's why we have Paul here. He asks the hard questions.
Right, he's a journalist.
Yeah.
You know, every bike has their deficiencies and their advantages. And, you know, the R1 is, I feel, the best motorcycle on the racetrack. Is it the best in absolutely every aspect of a motorcycle? No. They've had to hone in, and their bike has definitely shown that it's strong in these scenarios and types of situations where the other bikes are strong in other areas. And my job as a rider is to figure out what those strong points are and exploit them the best that I can so that I can get the most out of it and beat the competition with its strong points. And so a lot of times, you know, I've never ridden a perfect motorcycle. I've never raced the perfect motorcycle. It just doesn't work that way. So what happens is you have to learn to adapt as a rider. How am I going to, you know, take something that's not working perfectly and turn this around so that I can get the most out of it? And most of the time that weighs on me, because I'm a huge part of how that motorcycle dynamically gets around the racetrack, because I'm a lot of weight. I'm half the weight of the motorcycle, and I'm bouncing around on top of it. I can really play a huge role, and that's where, you know, you look at Anthony Gobert and a lot of the very natural riders were really, really good at manipulating those things. And it really didn't matter if their bike was that good or not. They were always at the front every weekend figuring out how to get it there. And I put a lot of weight on myself to go about trying to figure those things out so that I can't look at the team. I feel that they're doing a really good job for me. I know how hard those guys work. There's 6 guys whose job is to give me 2 good competitive motorcycles, and it's my job to ride it by myself. So it's hard for me to look at them and say, you guys aren't doing your job, because they're spending as much time at the track away from their families as I am.
Right.
And you know, at the end of the day, it comes down on my shoulders when I show up out there. So
yeah.
I better take responsibility.
I don't want it to come down on my shoulders. Your wife's waiting, man. We're going to cut you loose. We got to go. Hey, thanks for watching. Wish Josh Hayes good luck in that last round. He's got 2 more points-paying events to try to wrap up and go back-to-back on that championship. Welcome back to the Moto Show. Here on the show, we got the president of Husqvarna North America, Kris. Now, I messed up the name earlier in the show, but Odwarka, is that right?
Kris Odwarka, yeah.
I got it right, man. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, I know you got another name.
Chris Howell. A lot of people in Colorado, New Mexico know me from my dad. My stepdad raised me. A Marine turned artist, so kind of an interesting combination.
And you lived in Europe for 11 years working over there, and I mean, you know all the facets. You're a rider yourself.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. Talk about coming full circle. 11 years in Europe and came back to the dream job of my life, but I grew up riding bikes and racing bikes. 1969, I had a C70 step-through frame C70 Honda, and you know, you saw it was so little, I'd hop up on the pegs and then the seat, and then riding Moto, and also on. We were kidding about this. The year you were born, I got a buddy's practice bike, national rider named Mike Leffler. He was AMA Rookie of the Year in 1980. Yeah. I had his Husky that I bought from him and raced a 250 Husky.
Lots of history.
Yeah.
That's so cool. What do you think, Paul?
I think it is pretty cool. He's a cycle news fan. He was just telling us how much he enjoyed the AJS Porcupine story that we had this week.
AJS Porcupine. Do you think it'll go for $1 million?
Who knows, you know? You get somebody with some crazy money.
Could be. You don't need crazy money for that, though.
And this is the world debut. You had to pull some strings.
This is the Husqvarna TXC 310. This is our cross-country bike, and it's designed especially for the North American market.
Well, let's go take a look at it.
Yeah, sounds great.
After we look at it, I'm sure you're going to give it to Cycle News, and Paul, he's going to go.
Oh man, he's already working me for that.
You know, Chris, this is nothing that I remember the Husqvarnas. I mean, this thing's cool. I mean, it's got fuel injection, I see, but the thing that I like for us old guys, electric start. And you didn't leave out the Kickstarter. You got a Kickstarter just in case.
Real world, it can happen. When does electric start fail? When does your battery drop out? When you're farthest away. So for all of us deep that have been in the situation, it's still there. You bet.
Talk about some of the changes that you've made to this 310. I know your Cayaba front suspension there. It's a whole new pipe, and the Italians got a name for that pipe.
Leo Vince. They told me they'd kill me if I didn't get it right.
All right, well, we got it right.
All right, so based on our most successful, most popular 250-310 series, man, what didn't we do? Frames new and updated. The shock, like we were talking about, forks are completely revalved and set up. It's a completely new Cayaba shock for the rear. The fuel injection is new and completely remapped ECU to go with it. The pipe, like you said, is new. It's almost a completely new motorcycle. Frame's a great example. Increased rigidity and stiffness, 500,000 torsional oscillations, 500,000 linear oscillations. Passed that test. That's our harshest test. Better fuel economy, certainly better emissions, which we talk about today.
Right.
You know, even off-road. It's just a really nice bike to ride. I think the big thing that we didn't do, you can take a 250 power band, and if it's a 310, you just add on top of it. Instead of doing that, which I think would have been a mistake, give a motorcycle to the person our age, 30 to 50, 30 to 60. Add tons in the low end, right off of idle, a smooth roll. There's no bop, there's no burble, nothing. You can ride it lazy. You can ride a gear high if you want. You can motocross it. The bike's great.
Something else that Husqvarna brought back, Larry Rossler's there. Does that mean we're going to bring back Dan Ashcraft and Dan Smith, and we'll see this thing in Baja?
You know what? Walk before you run. I mean, 250, 500,000. It's baby steps right now.
Something else, the weight of the bike, under 240 pounds.
Under 240 pounds with electric start, with kickstart. It's kind of set up to do pretty much everything. This is the bike that was made for North America. We asked for it less than a year ago. And it was really a brainchild of a great rider, not racer. Corey Eastman, our marketing guy. It's his bike, and thank God he's as good as he is.
Well, and thanks for coming on the Moto Show. We got to take care of our sponsors.
You betcha.
It is a great looking bike.
Your typical road atlas will tell you how to get from point A to point B, but it won't tell you which way is the most captivating if you're on two wheels. A Butler motorcycle map does just that. Our maps show the best segments of road, and every road segment detailed in our maps has been ridden and rated by an owner of Butler Maps Incorporated. You also get the quality and durability of a waterproof and tear-resistant map that'll fold time and time again. The experience is as much in the journey as the destination. Butler Motorcycle Maps.
The Moto Show with Jim Holley has been brought to you by Husqvarna Motorcycles, Ride More, and Butler Motorcycle Maps.
Paul, that was a pretty cool Husky that Chris
yeah,
brought
that thing's
back.
nice. We need to get one of those over at the office.
Yeah, I think
all right, wait. You guys can talk about the bike all you want, but we have a really, really special guest on the phone, 17-time medalist at X Games, 11 of them gold. Travis, are you there?
How's it going? Thanks, Laura. Very special. I've been called that quite often.
How are you?
Oh, been miserable actually, but thanks for asking.
I know.
trying to recover from this last X Games experience.
Yeah, well, we have a clip of you trying the 720, and we're watching that right now. I was working the live event at X Games. I saw you pacing the deck. Were you more nervous doing the 720 than you were for the double, or were they about the same?
The double, you know, I was probably 8 for 10. The 720, I was 8 for 10 in the foam pit. You know, 2 years ago with the 720, we were 2 for 10, and that was just dumb trying at that particular point. But the hard part, the easy part about a double flip is that you just pull in one direction as hard as you can. With the 7, there's so many different axes you have to kind of work on, and there's 3 solid pulls. I usually mess up the first one, so I almost expect to crash on the first one. That's why I got right back up. I was like, all right, didn't hurt myself too bad. And the second one, I hit the rear brake right off the takeoff. I was like, oh, I've never experienced this. In 10,000 jumps in the foam pit, I've never done that. And it was so embarrassing, honestly, for me to have, you know, to tell the NASCAR crew, to tell the other guys, like, look, I have to do this. This is something that I'm really passionate about. I want to land this trick. We've so many guys, so many friends, family, you know, trainers have worked so hard, aerial coaches on this trick over the last 4 years. I'm like, look, I have to do it. I'm 8 for 10. I know I won't crack under pressure. You can believe in me, guys. And then, you know, to be on the ground, I got up and just felt every bone in my foot just kind of moving. I ended up with 20 fractures and just horrible. So it was not so good.
Travis, you're a trooper. I mean, you know, to get back on and to do it, you know, a second time, you know, and then unfortunately getting busted up like that. I got to ask you, Michael Waltrip, I know those guys over there. They're really nice, and they know that they want to let you beat Travis Pastrana. But were they disappointed you weren't able to make that NASCAR race?
Yeah, I mean, disappointed on their end, heartbroken on my end. I mean, it's the first time I really let down an entire crew. I mean, with Suzuki and with whatever we had, everyone knew the risks, and you know, especially with Michael, then he knows the risks. He's like, look, I don't want to stop you from being you. That's why we hired you on. He said, I am passionate about racing. I love going to the track, and the same way that I am as well. Well,
we see how passionate you are. We're watching a clip of you climbing into the rally car at the X Games. I mean, you had hand controls. I mean, you still wanted to race.
Yeah, well, for sure. I mean, you always want to race, but I mean, it's just a matter. But back to the NASCAR though, it's just like there's 15 guys on this crew that basically don't have a driver to work for the rest of the year, and that's huge. That is really painful for everybody. But you know, Michael's like, look, you know, you get in the car. He said, I believe in you for what you've done in the past, what you've been able to do. I don't want to change you. And you know what? Let's go racing. It's going to be good next year. And then the rally guys, man, such a great team over there. Feel really bad because I really honestly believe we had the best car this year. And, you know, all 3 of us on the Subaru Rally team, you know, had our problems on the main event. And, you know, me learning how to drive the hand controls was tough. But I tell you what, that team worked all night just getting that hand set up. Yeah. Then said, hey, you know, got to pass inspection, passed everything from X Games. Came to me and said, look, you don't have to, but if you can do it, if you can physically take the pain, you can race. So I held off surgery and he duct taped the leg in. And I was pumped. I mean, heck, Marcus Gromholm, I don't think anyone realized. He had 2-time World Rally Champion Marcus Gromholm coming in third. Tanner Faust leading the World Rallycross Championship, and Brian Deegan wins the thing. It was like, oh, Deegan can do it. It must not have been that good. I mean, not to be negative, but Deegan beat with the same car some of the best drivers in the world. Man, that was cool. And for me to pass Marcus Gromholm was a hero. You know, with the hand controls, with that kind of stuff, and you know, even without the hand controls, I was. You know, and then I broke the steering column and went straight into the wall again and crashed out. But that's typical, I guess.
Hey, something else. You're going to get married. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks a lot. Yeah, no, really pumped. Lindsay's definitely through hell or high water, I guess, or whatever. Through the good and the bad, whatever they say in the battles, is definitely she's had all the bad this year, man. She's been having basically nursing back to health over and over again. Just a lot of injuries, but. I tell you what, she's so supportive and so awesome for me, and one of the few girls that understands what I do and supports me and helps me in the foam pit and helps, you know, that stuff, and you know, hopefully we can help motivate. I help motivate her in the same way, so it's cool.
All right, man. Hey, well, we really appreciate you calling in on the Moto Show. Myself and Laurette and Paul, we want to wish you a speedy recovery, and we want to see you nail that 720 next year, buddy.
Thanks, me too. But good talking to you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Travis.
How cool was that? Travis Pastrana calls us from the East Coast with his broken bones and all.
I know, and you know, he's laying up in bed and he's just 20 fractures, but he's still in really good spirits. I know he's really bummed.
Yeah, you can tell he's disappointed because he let some people down. But yeah, I mean, that was awesome that he calls in.
Yeah.
The ultimate PR guy, Travis Pastrana.
Totally.
Hey, we did it, guys.
We did
That's it. We've done our first show at the Moto Show.
I can't believe
thought it was great. We had a lot of great guests. We had a lot of good content and things. I can't wait till next week, and neither can you guys. So make sure you check us out next week, and make sure you check out Facebook, Twitter, as well as go to themotoshow.com. And we'll see you next week. I can't wait. I had a great time. For Paul, Laurette, myself, Jim, see you next week.
Set decorations provided by Autograph Collectibles. Visit them at signedandauthentic.com. Also Pacific Panel Products and shopretro.net.